Good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Norton, and this is my video for ethical violations and board discipline. I live in the state of Alabama, so I pulled the records for the last 15 to 20 years on the different violations and disciplinary actions within my state. And some of the most common violations that I found as I looked over the record had to do with inappropriate sexual relationships, the breaches of confidentiality, issues with dual relationships and exploitation of trust. And then there were a couple of violations about just incompetency with client care. And some common themes that I saw as I looked over all of these that I thought was interesting. A few of those. One of the things is that the violators appeared to be, at least from this list, seemed to be predominantly male. And the vast majority of violations really had to do with inappropriate relationships. So whether that was dual relationships or whether that was inappropriate sexual relationships, either with a current client or with a client before the 5-year minimum dead period was up for a pursuing relationship. And so that was interesting. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was some of the same violations received different disciplinary actions. And I'm not privy to know all of the information to know why that's the case, but for some, they received much harsher sentences for the same ethics code that was violated. An interesting case that I saw that I wanted to highlight was from a woman named Emily Dickinson in 2008. And her violation had to do with the ethics code A6A, A11B, C2A. And it had to do with counselor competency. And she was given a violation for inability to assist a client and also with boundaries of competence. And her disciplinary action was 6 months stage suspension along with other conditions as well. And then, like I said, there was another one, I can't remember if it was a male or a female. There was another person that also had the same ethics violation and received a much harsher sentence. So very interesting. The ACA codes or the ACA code having to do with impairment is the code C2G. And it states, and I'm just summarizing, that it mandates that counselors remain vigilant to signs and symptoms of distress that could potentially lead to impairment within themselves. And if impairment has been determined, it's essential that counselors relinquish their professional duties until their wellness has been reestablished and until it's safe to come back and continue working with clients. And then the code goes on a little bit further and speaks about our responsibility as counselors, not only to ourselves in regards to impairment, but also with our colleagues and supervisors as well, that we are to act as gatekeepers or watchkeepers in the profession. And if we detect impairment or if we suspect some type of impairment type behavior is going on, then we're to take the necessary steps to intervene in such a way to protect clients. The question that this brings to mind for me is, if one of the issues, like with this woman that I mentioned earlier, her violation had to do with her boundaries of competence and not working within her boundaries of competence, how can we be sure that we stay within our boundaries of competence? There's so many different theories and there's so many different methodologies out there. And how do we know if and when it's safe to step out and actually use those different methodologies or theories? So thanks so much, everyone. Good night.